Hey guys, hope you are all keeping well. Bored now, back with you for another horror movie review. So, this is my second in a row as I get back in the swing of things horror wise. So, last time out, I did the fourth in the Halloween franchise, The Return of Michael Myers. That video just went up today if you want to check out that review. But now I'm going back another decade, and this is a movie from 1974, and it is called Beyond the Door. And, well, the year is quite important because it's 1 year after The Exorcist came out. The Exorcist, of course, one of the big horror hits of the 70s, iconic movie. And the reason I mention that is because this has a very similar plot to The Exorcist. This has like an exorcism plot. And as the movie goes on, you can definitely see scenes that are like deliberately like ripping off The Exorcist. So that's important. It came out 1 year later, and sometimes you might say it's a coincidence because obviously when a film comes out within a year of another film, you might say it's sort of hard to rip it off because they might have been in production around the same time. But in this case, this is a very cheaply made film, so I'm pretty sure they said, yeah, let's rush this out. Let's cash in on the success of The Exorcist. So yeah, fair to say this is an Exorcist knockoff. The, at the beginning of the film, and for probably like the first half, it didn't actually seem that much like an Exorcist knockoff. But as I said, when you get into the back half, you can definitely see this. So another thing I'll mention: this movie is on Amazon Prime. So if you're a Prime member, you can watch it for free. So yeah, I guess you might as well check it out. Tick off another horror box. So the basic plot is that the movie actually opens with this character called Dimitri, and he's being haunted by this ghost, and the ghost is basically telling him you're gonna die in a matter of days. It's almost like a devil type ghost, and what we see is like Dimitri's future. We see him driving off the cliff, driving off a cliff to his death down below. And we see this as we hear like the voiceover from the ghost that's haunting him. But the ghost gives him like an ultimatum. He sort of says, you can either, just live out your fate and die in a few days, or you have an option to survive, and that option is if you can find me another person to haunt, sort of thing. You can find me like a new home almost, and that's to basically get a woman pregnant so I can be reborn in her child. So that's the setup, and then we kind of cut to like this couple. I think the movie's meant to be set in like LA or somewhere like that, although I know then large parts of it was I think filmed in Italy. There's like a production background from Italy. So it was kind of a co-production. I think some scenes were shot in the USA and others in Italy. But we get this couple, and it's sort of after the event where Dimitri has, I guess it's slightly a plot spoiler, although you can maybe guess, has had an affair with like the woman, and she's pregnant when we first see her, and kind of in a loveless marriage, although it's kind of hard to tell at times. They've got a couple of kids already, and weird shit starts to happen in the way of these things. So she starts acting all like spooky, suddenly has like these powers where she can like make things move across a room, stuff like that. And obviously that's like the devil baby, if you like, inside of her. So I guess it's another one which is sort of like using the experience and the stress of being pregnant to to use it as kind of like a comment on, or sorry, yeah, use it as a metaphor for evil sort of thing in this case. Um, and yeah, things start propping up, like when she goes to the doctor, then there's mysterious things about this baby. For example, she said to the doctor, "I'm 9 weeks along." He says, "Oh, no, you're actually 3 months along." And she's like, "Well, that's not really possible." So they start digging into the thing, and it all leads to like an exorcism plot. So you might already have guessed this, but I think this is a really terrible movie. It's really, really bad. It's so cheaply made. The acting's very wooden. Horrible dialogue. Just, it's kind of a baffling and trippy film, but I don't really think in a good way, not in an entertaining or interesting way. Just in an all over the place sort of way where I don't think it really knows what it wants to do. Because there's moments where it's kind of so silly and sloppily put together, then you sort of think, well, is this a parody? Is this being ironic? Is it like making fun of like similar movies? But I don't think it is. When you watch it, I think it's just so cheap and so badly made. And as I said, so much of it like a desperate cash grab, cashing in on The Exorcist. Then yeah, I just think it is a really bad movie. I don't think there's one or two moments you could say are tongue in cheek, and maybe those are the better moments, but it's one of those where there's just so little originality. The plot is sort of all over the place. The ending I thought was quite cheap. And they just don't have the budget, so when you get to like the exorcism moments, they look so hokey and cartoonish. But I'll go through. I mean, a couple of things that kind of make it worth watching. I think the opening of the film, the very opening shots, I actually quite like, because what they do is they have the voice of the ghost, and you get like a shot of like a darkened cinema, so you see all the people in the audience, and he's actually doing like this whole monologue, so it's like sort of breaking the fourth wall. And yeah, he starts doing this monologue of how, you won't see me in this story, but basically this story cannot happen without me. And it's almost like an old fashioned sort of horror thing where he ends up by saying someone next to you could be like I think he says psychopath or something, or a murderer or something like that. So that was quite a cool opening. I did enjoy that. And the other thing that sort of makes the movie worth watching is the character of Gail, who's like their oldest child already, the couple. Because she's just a potty mouth, and she has some entertaining swearing. Like she says bullshit, and at one point she says to like the brother, because they don't get on at all. They're sort of always fighting. It's like she calls him a smackhead at one point. She says something like "calm down, smackhead," "calm down, smackhead," or something, and just her swearing, because it just feels so out of character. Because it's not like she's a teenager. I think at the most she's probably, I guess she could be 10, but she seemed even younger than 10. I'd probably say she's 8, maybe 9. Could be younger. She seemed pretty young to me, but I guess she could be 8 or 9. But she just seemed to be using like these expressions that were like adult type expressions. And yeah, it was actually quite entertaining, and it did make me wonder, is this meant to be a parody or what? But I think her sort of potty mouth actually makes some sense later on in the film when you see kind of the twist sort of ending. But in any case, I did enjoy Gail's like swear words and some of her little comments. So yeah, it's probably worth watching just for her character as well. And there's this really bizarre scene quite early on where she's trying to poison the mother basically. Like she's putting like I think it's rat poison in like her food and stuff and something else quite grotesque. And it's like, what is this film? Because this is right at the start of the film, so there's no context for any of this stuff. Again, when you see how it ends, I think you can sort of make some sense of her actions, but is this a comedy? Is this like meant to be a real thing in the film? Why is she trying to poison the mother? It's just crazy. And I think she does sort of half poison the mother. I think then the mother does like taste the food, but then she kind of splits it out. But yeah, that's another scene I did quite enjoy. To be fair, the trying to poison stuff, but just on a what the hell's going on in this film type of level. But that's about it for the positives, I have to say. So let's go through this a little bit, shall we? So first of all, because I'm assuming this is dubbed because of an Italy co-production, so I'm assuming maybe this was originally an Italian film. I didn't really know about it until I just read it I just read it being mentioned somewhere. For okay, it's on Prime, so I'll check it out. It's worth ticking off the list anyway. But yeah, I'm assuming maybe it was originally in Italian, and I say that because there's clearly dubbing because the words are completely out of sync with the mouths, the movements of the mouth, and the dubbing is absolutely terrible. It's atrocious. It's nowhere near on time, and you get this really terrible out of sync sort of editing and sound editing and mixing. It is so amateurish because, for example, in the opening bit where it's showing him going off the cliff in the car, and that's obviously meant to be his future, that being Dimitri, you get the devil sort of character talking over this, and it just doesn't sync up at all. It just feels like totally like that's been recorded in a totally different like place, location. It is so clunky. You get this because there are bizarre moments of like comedy. So one of the first, I think it's like over like the opening credits sort of thing, where you get the character of Robert, who's like the husband, walking down the street, and his job is that he sort of like he produces music or something for like I think just regular music, but you get like this soul band, and they sort of do this theme, Bargain was a devil, which is this really bad sort of soul type. And again, I think probably, to be fair, maybe it's intentionally bad, but that sort of plays as he's walking over down the street. But that is again really badly mixed and edited, and maybe you can excuse it and say it's just kind of so bad it's good, but the music in this film is just so laughable. Because there's a scene quite late on where they're doing almost like a jazzy sort of synth type number where it's meant to be like racking up the tension as like a dramatic scene comes up, but it just doesn't. It is so cheesy, so cartoonish. So it's really bad, and as I said, it's hard to get a handle on any of the characters or any of what's going on in the film at times, because Robert at times like just acts casually like sort of sexist or just really crude, because there's a scene where they're talking about the baby, and it's after she's come back from the doctor, and the doctor has suggested then the baby was actually like conceived like 3 months ago. And Robert just casually calls the baby a little bastard. And he means it in a supportive way, because he's going to say, well, even though the little bastard may be, whatever, he says, that we can still support it, we can still. But the fact that he would refer to it as a little bastard is kind of hilarious. But this is a character we're meant to be sympathetic to, and he's making that remark. Also, later on, he makes a totally sexist remark about his wife's like backside, because she's doing this whole monologuing about her purpose and what they're gonna like pass on to the baby, because what you pass on to the baby kind of like dictates what sort of person they're gonna be. In her words anyway. And then he makes what sort of person am I, what did I grow into? And I can't remember the exact line, but he mentions some line about a woman with a great ass. And again, surely this is one of the good guys, you're supposed to be sympathetic. I'm probably laughing a lot more than I did last night when I watched it, to be fair. But that's another thing. It's one of those movies that just ends up being boring, like bad boring, rather than entertaining bad. So moments like that with Robert. The problem is, if they wanted to make him like a movie douchebag and really go with it and make it entertaining, so it's just ridiculous, then that could have been fun, because outside of that sort of entertainment, the movie's bad. It's badly made. It's not scary in the slightest. There's nothing like interesting or cutting edge about it. So if they wanted to go the other way and just make it really hammy and entertaining, then that could have worked a treat. But the problem is they don't. It's like Robert, he's not enough of an asshole. He just makes these casual like remarks every now and again. And later on, as the movie goes, he becomes more concerned about the wife and kind of grows as a character, as much as you can grow in a movie like this. But no, they don't do either thing with him. They don't invest him enough as a character. But on the other hand, if they wanted to make him an entertaining arsehole, they don't do that neither. There's not enough funny lines in this movie. There's not enough so bad it's good kind of moment. They're just really boring characters. There's some terrible dialogue, some terrible monologuing, which should have been cut out of the film. The wife does this a lot, and I think she's really the character or the actress, which is the acting across the board in this film is pretty awful. But I think that actress was the worst of the film. Jessica, the name of the character, but she just goes on and on about just about the baby, and this baby is like stressing me out, and should I really bring this baby into the world? And it's really, really bad stuff. So I guess I should talk, because they eventually find out about Dimitri, and they start piecing this together, and there's like this conflict between Jessica and Robert, because he wants to go with the doctor's advice and he doesn't trust Dimitri, but at the same time, because what happens is Dimitri approaches him eventually and tries to convince him, and that's when we find out then he and Jessica slept together like a fling a while back, and that's obviously where the baby has come from. He's passed on the haunted child, if you like. So there's this conflict between Robert and Jessica where he doesn't want Dimitri around, but because he he approaches her or approaches Robert and starts suggesting, "Hey, I can really do this. I can save your wife. I can save the child." So that's when the silliness really goes to a whole nother level, because you have Dimitri like wrestling with the team and with the ghost, and you get Dimitri delivering lines like, "The baby must be born, the baby must be born, damn it!" And he's, as I said, wrestling with the ghost. He like, we see him like slam himself into mirrors and stuff like that. It is so cartoon. It's so silly and schlocky. And just some of like the stuff, like we get dolls flying across the room. This is where clearly they had hardly any money to like spend on effects, because the vomit scene, like, because you get the vomit when Jessica is like is possessed, and it looks so cheap. It just looks so unconvincing, and it doesn't look gross or like scrungy. It looks really, really bad, basically. And there's a scene where she surprises Gale by doing the exorcism, like, or exorcist head twist moment when she's in bed, and that looks really like cartoonish, really, really bad. So there's nothing scary about it. There's nothing particularly entertaining going on, bar the odd sort of moment, probably accidental. Trying to think what else. So another scene I have to say, which I didn't really get, which is, it's just like a plot contrivance, but there's a scene where Jessica actually like passes on like the evil spirit to her son, to her young son. And first of all, you're thinking, oh well, what sort of mother are you? But another thing, I no, sorry, I'm not. I'm being unfair. It's actually an accident. But here's the problem with the scene: is he's like unwell, he's misbehaving or something like that, and so he's in bed. And actually, another good line from Gale, I should say, is because when things start, because it's when things are like going, crazy around the house because of the spirit, and it what happens to the son, whose name I forget, it's blamed on Gale. And at one point she has a line where she says, "Oh yeah, sure, blame me, what, I just slugged him or something," which is pretty funny. But anyway, when he's in bed and they think he's ill and stuff, Jessica kisses him on the lips, and that's how the demon gets past. It's all very murky though, because she's pregnant, she still seems to be possessed and haunted after that. But it's just, yeah, he starts acting weird as well. He starts having effects. So what the fuck is going on? I don't know. But in any case, I thought, why is she kissing him on the lips? I mean, it's not for long, but even so, it's a bit icky. A mother kiss them on the cheek. That's fine. That's a normal thing for a mother to do. But she actually sort of kisses him on the lips. But it's, as I said, a plot thing to kind of move things forward. But yeah, we get to the climax of the film, and as I said, there's just so many like ropey effects. It looks so. There's a scene where Robert is like being like flung around the room by the spirit, and that just looks so bad, so silly. It almost looks like a cartoon. And there's more monologuing by Dimitri, who talks about evil never lets people like us rest. They're always trying to get hold of you, trying. And again, I don't really understand how it all works itself out, because the cycle is broken, and it's revealed that it was tricking Dimitri, because of course it was. So it's revealed that he died anyway, because to the rest of the world he did die, but he's being told he could be brought back if he obviously lives up to his end of the bargain, his end of this deal. But then it's just revealed, then no, I was tricking you. You're dying anyway, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's lame. But then I think I don't get the ending, because she obviously survives and goes back to normal. But then there's another twist. So Dimitri's basically screwed. It was a trick all along. Things seem to go back to the normal with the family, but then we get this end scene where they're all on a boat, on a ferry, I should say, and I think this scene has been like flashed. We've seen like bits of it before in the film, but in any case, there's a present for one of the children that they open. I think it's the boy, and it's like a car, and you'll notice the car looks like Dimitri's, but it's like a toy car. And rather than playing with it, he chucks it over the side of the ferry. And that's the twist, because then we cut to Dimitri's car going over the edge of the cliff. And that is the twist. Basically, because he turns around the boy, he's got green eyes, he is, possessed, he's the devil. But so I don't know. I guess they're saying this is before the whole thing with Dimitri, but it's so cack-handed, it's so confusing, the timelines and just everything trying to line up. It is just so... It's a really bad film, folks, and sadly it's not really entertaining, bad bar a couple of moments, but there you have it. That is my review of Beyond the Door 1974. As I said, you can watch it for free on Amazon Prime now, and I'll give it 1 out of 10, because to me it is one of the worst films I've maybe ever seen. I could nudge it up to a 2 out of 10, but I won't go any higher than that. But I'm giving it a 1 just because it's so badly made. It's like amateur. It's almost like amateur filmmaking. And if that was intentional, to give it like a campy type feel, or so bad it's good type feel, I could excuse it, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a cheaply made bad film with no wit, no imagination. It's not scary in the slightest. It's absolutely laughable. Bad acting, bad dialogue, as I said. I'll say maybe it's worth watching, as I said, for Gail. She is quite entertaining. The other thing, it's over long. I mean, it's over 90 minutes. It's like 2 3/4 hours. And that's at least 15-20 minutes too long. This should be a 90-minute movie for what it is. So that's another thing. So 1 out of 10 for me. I think it's absolutely atrocious. So that's been my review of Beyond the Door. If you've seen the movie, please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Keep this content coming. You can ding the bell on YouTube, which should notify you when a new video goes up. And yeah, if you have any questions for me, then contact me on Twitter. I'll put the link in the description to this video. But I'll be back soon with another horror movie review, hopefully something better than this, and more movie and TV reviews. So I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.